What I did not get a kick out of was yesterday's baseball. What happened, Cory? I thought we were going to win, and we were going to come back, and it was going to be great, and then all of a sudden, we didn't.
It looked... I thought Jack Leiter had a good outing.
Yeah.
I would like to see a little more efficiency. Maybe we need to send him to Germany for an off-season. Have him learn efficiency.
The Germans do love their efficiency.
Precision and efficiency is what they're all about.
Can I ask a quick question? At 10:20, do we want more tales from Germany, including me defiantly saying, that's fine, give them 4 outs. Everybody gets 4 outs.
Oh, my gosh, yes.
Look, I had to reset myself after one day of the competition.
Then this will be the 10:20 segment as we've had to adjust our schedule today. What is the thing that makes you most competitive? What is the thing that gets you super competitive about something? And for Kevin, it's just natural. All right, that's just part of his life.
One of those kids said something to me too, and I was like, "All right,
fine. I'll show you how."
Yeah, absolutely.
But Leiter, 91 pitches in 5 innings. I'd love another inning from him.
Okay,
so just reduce that a little bit. But man, he was sharp on a number of things last night.
And I think that you just hit it. And you've seen his ERA, I believe, go down about 3/4 of a point. Or of a run, over the last month and a half or so. But to your point, 91 pitches, you got to think like 15 pitches per inning. It's not a perfect scenario, but if you can do that, and you could have gotten one inning further. Although, man, how crazy were both the 6th and 7th innings in terms of the way they started and how they ended, whether it was Cole Winn giving up a leadoff double and then strikeout. And then I saw Sean's interpretation of it on Twitter, Robert Garcia trying a no-look Kobe pass. that was seriously, I know a lot of people want to ask Bruce Bochy questions about Robert Garcia's effectiveness today, and I understand all of that. But another thing I've always been curious about, Robert Garcia, he's been through this. He's a veteran. But do you still have to talk to him when he comes back to the dugout and be like, dude, you have to hold on to that ball. Like, you can't make that throw.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that this team prides themselves on, not just in the field, but also on the mound, is their defensive plays.
And it's been really good this year.
You know, there have been moments where Kumar Rocker didn't feel the position, and he got lambasted, right? Like, everybody was on him about it. And then he's out there playing the position better defensively. I got to get that work in. These are the things we discussed very early in the year, Kevin. We were discussing, look, Rocker's here, but he has a lot of baseball to learn still, because I learned this last week from Mike. Did you know that he was limited to like 3 innings a game in high school?
Really?
Yeah, so his experience, Mike told us this last week, his experience in the game of baseball, even in college, was limited because he didn't go that much. So the experience, the process for him, he's still learning the game. He just has all this natural talent. But yeah, they pride themselves on their ability to play great defense. Last week, a couple weeks ago, Fred was like, I am perfectly fine, and this was as we were coming down to the trade deadline, I'm perfectly fine with Robert Garcia being my closer. And then the next 2 outings were terrible for Robert Garcia. So obviously we blame Fred. And, I mean, that's the natural progression of things.
I feel like he would accept that.
He took the blame. He absolutely took the blame for it, and he did a wonderful job. But that's where I think that Boch, I believe Fred also asked last week, hey, what about Curvelo for closer spot? And Boch kind of sounded a little surprised, like, you know what? I hadn't thought about that yet. He's got this stuff, They're still trying to it looks like they're still trying to figure out exactly the order of what that bullpen is going to be. But ultimately, Kevin, it still comes down to 2 runs is not enough against the Diamondbacks, who even Jeff Bannister told us yesterday, look, we've been a very good scoring team. We just had some other struggles.
Now, I want to get back to that in just a second. How much does it break your heart or break your baseball soul even, because you were just talking about Carvello, when you hear first home run given up of the season?
Yeah, I don't like that.
Obviously, that means you've had an incredible season, but it just sucks at the timing of it.
Dude, it was like a couple days ago with Evaldi.
Yes.
You were just surprised by the amount of home runs that, like, you were like, what is happening right now? And that's when you felt like everything was falling apart. Then they come back and score enough runs to win.
But what I know, you're right about the offense. I'm going to get to that in just 1 second. But what I'm guessing they've been hot on this for a while. Robert Garcia. So I decided to take like just a look at maybe the time that I was gone, because I missed several things, and I had a whole bunch of stuff recorded on the DVR. That's right, because I still have linear cable. And one of the things that you saw with Robert Garcia is, like, just isolate his August, because before that, you felt like he was rocking and rolling
absolutely.
in the month of July.
Very confident. I mean, we talk about, I think he'd given up a run in all of July.
Yes, I believe that is correct.
And there were multiple months that he was not giving up much at all. And then July just looked like he was on fire. And then August, he kind of comes back down to earth. And you're kind of asking why. And then after a couple bad games, Bochy's like, all right, we got him back. He's back on track.
Yeah.
And then last night.
So, and like, I think it goes, and it definitely goes beyond that, because he's only had 6 appearances in August. But what I wanted to do is, like, break it down by what were the stakes.
Gotcha.
All right. So he pitched really well in last Friday's game against Philly, but you were losing by 16,000 runs. So that wasn't a high stakes appearance. All 5 of his other appearances were high stakes appearances. All right. You go back to the Philly game from this past Sunday. Hey, kept it where it needed to be, all right? So thumbs up. Good job for that. But the other 4 appearances, you give up runs in all of those, and 3 of them result in a blown save. So if you're just looking at, like, this month, like, for as much as we were hyped about July and giving up the run, is you've had 6 appearances in August. 5 of them have been in clutch situations, and 4 out of those 5, you've given up a run, and 3 out of those 4, you've blown the save. So, like, it has been a catastrophic run for him. And so I know at some point any manager is going to be like, well, you have to pitch somebody. But it feels like Robert Garcia in particular at this moment is pretty low on my list.
Yeah, and here's the thing that you know about Boch, and I got to explain this to Fred the other day. We got that experience with Bannister a long time ago of planting seeds with veterans. Continuing to have faith in them until I don't even know when, right? Like, it almost seemed like it's taken too long. Boch isn't going to step away. He's not going to be not behind these guys. He's going to give them opportunities. Is he going to give them opportunities in all of these high leverage situations? Probably not. Just like Adolis, as he's continued to not be great, he's moved further and further down.
Right.
Boch is that kind of manager who he's like, I'll continue to tinker with this thing to find the hot hand. And once I find the hot hand, I'll ride that thing until a championship is there. That's the history of Bochy in every stop that he's been in, and on our World Series run as well. So he's going to do the same thing. He'll get those opportunities to get his confidence and faith back in him, probably in lower stress situations, until he goes, you know what, I'm going to need to depend on you because I've seen you do it before. And you know you want it, and you know you want to prove it. And, Kevin, whenever you have a motivated person that wants to prove something to somebody they care about, something to their team, I think that's whenever you get the best out of them.
Now, you brought up the other thing is, like, it doesn't feel like we should be talking about Robert Garcia this morning because, once again, the offense was meh. Look, Bruce Bochy was heated last night, and I know you've heard him. We've heard him get mad plenty of times. But last night when he was like, hey, let's swing the damn bats, and he goes, this was one of our worst games of the season. And you look back at it outside of Monday night, which I did get to catch the tail end of that live. Outside
that was fun, wasn't it?
It really was. Out for a game that for a good chunk of the night until Wyatt, I feel like you were like, ugh.
Oh no, yeah.
Chalk up another one.
Kevin, I literally turned the TV off and left to go do something else. I was like, here we go. If Evaldi's not going to be good, we're screwed. And I was like, I'm done. And then I tweeted out, well, it was a good run. And then everybody was messaging me back, hey, hold on a damn second.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right. And then I came back in for the burger moment. So that was awesome.
And see, look outside of that game. How has it gone the last week? All right.
It's been rough.
Exactly. So let's go all the way back. And this is putting aside whether you won or lost, because I know a few of these games, obviously, you won, including that first game against the Yankees. But if you go back a week to that Tuesday, here are the runs that you've scored. 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, and then 2 last night. Now, obviously, we're skipping over the comeback win, which we all, hey, good job. Thank you, Wyatt Langford, for getting it done. Thank you, Rowdy Tellez, for getting it done. Like, I appreciate all of that. But even in that game you won against the Yankees, Yankees, your offense has absolutely gone back to what we've all been used to most of the year, and that's a bunch of crap. Let's try that again. I was going to say that's a bunch of missed opportunities with runners in scoring position.
Okay,
Look,
gotcha.
I almost said what I said to my TV. I'm telling everybody in their Metroplex, whether they're listening right here on 105.3 The Fan, where all your games are free, or watching it on TV, there have been every fan, I bet, has been like, what a crap at bat in a runner in scoring position situation. And that's not fair, and I don't want to get called out for knocking over the tee, and that's why I didn't make my T-ball team. But, like, there have been a bunch of missed opportunities, and that's disappointing.
Okay, Kevin, I do want to go to that real quick because I wanted to check in. I wanted to check on a number regarding that last night. MLB teams with the most runners left on base.
I feel like we have to be top 5.
8th fewest.
Really?
8th fewest. Now, hold on.
Oh.
8th fewest runners left on base, and that is, the number is 6 point, like it's average 6 point something a game, something like that. The most is 7 something, like 7-8 or something like that. It's Toronto. Do you know why? We don't get a lot of runners on base.
Yeah,
we're like 25th in hits this year. Okay.
Okay.
And so when you don't have a lot of runners on base, it feels like we leave a lot of runners on base. But it's those other teams that are actually getting more runners on base and scoring more runs and being more productive. They leave more on because they get more hitters on, and that's a very frustrating thing when you're looking at those numbers because you're like, okay, so we're not that bad at this actually. And then you're like, oh, we're just not getting people in position, like even on base to do this. So it is frustrating. That's why Boch is like, let's swing the damn bats. Let's get some hits. Let's get some guys on. We got to just find that confidence and that groove again, man, because they don't look like it right now. And maybe it is the moments aren't big enough. The adrenaline isn't there for them. I don't know, but they look flat, and they got to stop that.
Well, I will go ahead and give them a friendly reminder to look at the standings. You're 3/4 of the way through the season, and you ain't there.
Yep.
All right, so it's time to dial up the adrenaline, or you can have the best damn pretend at bat when you're not in the playoffs against whoever you want. Somebody brought up from the 972, a lot of this coincided with Evan Carter going back on the injured list. I would be willing to wager, perhaps one way or another, you will hear some news about that today.
Yeah, I would bet you do as well. I will also add, Bobby's been very like, I was right, guys. We needed to add a bat, not any pitchers at the trade deadline. See, I'm right. And I listen, I love whenever we're right about something.
Sure.
This is tough because you add an Evan Carter to it, and everybody goes back to being good and patient at the plate and finding their pitch and shrinking the strike zone. Then that's what you needed. Instead of adding one hitter that could hit only maybe one home run every 3 games, you got a whole team now really refocused. That's something that's missing, man, and hopefully it is the Evan Carter effect.
And look, I will certainly agree. I think it is hard to argue against Bobby's point of you should have added a bat. Look, we built for a pitching staff that can be terribly scary in the postseason.
Yes.
There's just that annoying part of have to get to the postseason first.
Yes, exactly. And I will say, and I know this for a fact, there's nobody out there that can say the Rangers didn't try to add a bat. Sometimes
I agree.
Sometimes it just doesn't work out for you.
Absolutely.